If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Dripping in gold? That's cool. Dripping in Velveeta's supremely creamy golden cheesiness? That's respect. Elevate your drip with Velveeta's range of outrageously delicious dips and dishes. Shells, cheese, melty blocks, and heat and eat queso that go all in on indulgence. Flex on your fam with a creamy, cheesy masterpiece and go all in on what you love with Velveeta. Respect the drip and satisfy your cravings. Bring home the drip with Velveeta.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Back by popular demand, I wanted to bring on Jay Johnson. You may recall, if you're a regular listener of this show, that about 3 or 4 weeks ago I had Jay on, and we got such a tremendous response from what he was talking about. It was just eye-opening and jaw-dropping, the information he gave. Now, Jay Johnson is the head of Abacus Global Management and is an expert on issues related to longevity, and he will show you how he can estimate, your life expectancy, and given your age and your health situation, how you should be investing. It's a cool new dimension of investing. So, Jay, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah. Hey, Steve. Super happy to be back. And I'm glad to be back by popular demand. Most of the time when I talk about things like longevity, lifespan, mortality, no one, I'm standing alone in the corner of the room. Nobody wants to chat with me.
We got such great response because it's fascinating. Well, first of all, let's get into the financial stuff. So tell us about Abacus, what you do and why it's different. There's thousands of financial firms out there. How do you separate yourself from the crowd?
Of course, we're an alternative asset manager, and we use lifespan and longevity data to do two things. One, help seniors better understand what the value of their life insurance policy is in today's market value. And today, that's more meaningful than ever, right? I mean, with all the volatility and uncertainty that we have a lot of people coming to us looking for different types of way to monetize capital, and their life insurance policy is an incredible tool they can use to do that.
So hold on, because this is a really important point you're making, and I want to stress this because a lot of seniors don't even know you can basically monetize your life insurance policy, right?
Right. It changes from a death benefit to a living benefit. Yeah, it's a living benefit asset, right? Just like your home. And we buy out the entire contract from you, take over the future premium payments, and you get that asset value in today's number. Wow. And we then provide you your lifespan data. We'll pay out hundreds of millions of dollars per year all across the United States to people who didn't realize this was the case. Wow. The tragedy is that, gosh, $700 billion may lapse this year and no one will know.
Oh my God. You mean, so what does that mean? It will lapse? You mean people won't?
So they just stop making payments and then they never pursue.
And so then their whole insurance, they lose all the money they put into it.
That's right. So, all the premiums, if that were your mortgage, it's like paying a mortgage for 20 years and saying, no, I'll take nothing for the house.
That makes no sense. Right. So people just are not aware of the fact that they have it's an equity that you have. I mean, it's so funny. I'll tell you, Jay, that I think I may have mentioned this the last time you were on, but my wife just got her second job out of college when she was in her early 20s, so it was 25 years ago, was working for a technology company, and Larry Ellison at Oracle, and she worked there for 2 years, and then she moved on to other jobs. Well, when she was there, she had a stock ownership plan. So she got equity in the company, and she had completely forgotten about it. And she got a note a few weeks ago from the Oracle saying, by the way, your stock options are now worth $400,000. And it was like, we won the lottery or something. So it's sort of the same thing though with these insurance things. People don't realize they're sitting on this money.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And the reaction is always so incredibly positive. And this is now how people are considering their estate plan, right? Because with the estate tax exemption being so much higher, people are looking at going, gosh, I don't need this policy for my estate. Instead, I'll monetize it today because I don't have a tax issue with my estate. And we're seeing our numbers go up dramatically. We're a publicly traded company. We trade under the ticker ABL. And what's also very interesting, we use the data because we aggregate people's lifespan and longevity data to determine how much time is left on that contract, right? And we're now putting that data out to help people better understand how they can be allocating their assets based upon their lifespan, right? Like their number one fear is running out of money in retirement. Wouldn't you like to have a better idea how long you should be planning for in retirement based upon your actual medical facts?
Mm-hmm. So I am 60. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's exactly right. Like you're, in your early 60s and there's a lot of decisions you'll be facing over the next 7 to 10 years. You need every bit of information that you could have. And I still think all this comes towards you're seeing a lot of volatility in the market, right? Yeah. Some people are calling this a crash market. You're an economist. Right. Like I think some of this stuff is oversold.
Everybody's all over the place with their forecasts. Right.
Yeah. It's bananas. Gold at 4,300, there's some panic happening. And what drives some of that is that, you look at a major portion of the economy that drives markets are seniors, right? They're the ones with the largest typically portfolios because they've built it up over their whole lives. And if they're reactionary during that period of time, it's because they're fearful. And that fear is driven by the fact they have stress and anxiety of saying, do I have enough money to make it to the end of my life? And if you have this critical data point, you're going to have less volatility in your portfolio, less volatility in the markets in general. And I just think this is such a huge thing for people to get their head around.
And you're going to make more money. So here's the thing. I mean, let's use Steve Moore as an example. Okay. So I come to you, Jay, and I say, okay, I'm 65 years old. I have 3 sons and 2 stepsons. I bought a lot of life insurance when I was young because I had 3 kids and I wanted to make sure that if I got hit by a truck, they would be taken care of. But now they're out of the nest. They're on their own careers. So, the first thing is I would be stupid to stop paying the insurance premiums, right? Because then I'd lose all the equity that I have. Right. So I should, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then second of all, so what advice now as I'm going to probably work for hopefully another 10 years, cause I love what I do. But, what advice do you give someone like, they're just sort of entering that retirement phase of their life? What do you tell people like me to do? You would look at my demographic situation. You could tell me based on, all my information, what the best strategy is for me.
That's right. So we would do a full underwriting. We could pull your medical files, look back at your personal history, your family history, genetic history, and we'd be able to say, okay, Steve, you're pretty healthy here with relatives that lived well into their late 80s. So you're looking at a 27 plus year remaining lifespan at this point. Now there could be some medical changes,
time out
about that.
Time out, because this is really a useful. Here's the thing, Jay. Don't the insurance companies already do that? In other words, haven't they already priced that all in?
Sure. But the challenge you have is that it depends on what type of underlying policy you have. You might have a term life insurance policy that expires at age 75. You might have a whole life policy where the premiums are much higher and you're building cash values, or you might have what they call flexible premium or universal life. So depends on the contract you bought. But at some point at 63, you're about to make a decision to get off of, hey, I'm going to buy a term policy and buy something for the rest of my life. And if you're going to do that, the decision you should be thinking about is going, well, okay, how long is that going to be? And then how much of that am I going to allocate to this policy, right? Versus maybe self-insuring or doing some other things. And so that's where that key component comes in. You might decide at age 65, I'm going to get a different type of life insurance policy, one that carries me to age 100. However, guess what? If your lifespan is much shorter than that, we might say, hey, you might want to consider something else.
So, some people have more than one insurance plan, right? Because my father took out a life insurance plan for me as kind of when I got married. And then I have my own. So people could have 1 or 2 or multiple insurance plans. Can you consolidate all that for people and make it simple?
You certainly can. And I think that's a good route because sometimes, you aggregate things over time. Just like you go into your house, you've lived in your house for 30 years, you've got a lot of stuff. And that happens in your financials, right? If you look across the score, you're going to see, hey, here's my financial plan. I might have multiple policies that were serving different times and periods in my life. Some you may want to let go, put those towards a bigger, better policy that better suits you today. When it comes to your financial planning, you should do the same thing, right? Trim it a little bit. Understand that, hey, how things were when you were in your 30s or 40s are different than in your 50s and 60s. The types of stocks you own, maybe the types of portfolio you own. So that same type of housekeeping you need to do across the board. And it's not just insurance, it's your financial planning. But, I keep coming back to this is that you can have a material impact on all this at 63, depending on how you're going to advocate for your own lifespan, because all of this matters, right? That's an end date. But what we spoke about last time was super important, which was your health span, right?
Yeah.
Like all this falls apart. If in the last 4 years of your life, let's say that, Steve, you got a really good shot living to 90, but you're going to start falling apart at age 86. Your medical bills could be $250,000 to $500,000 a year in the last 4 years.
I've read that people use up half of their wealth just in the last 2 years of their life.
That's exactly what happens, and sometimes it's tragically more.
Well, how do you prevent that from happening?
Your spouse. You have to start making decisions around the biggest impact to your health span are kind of the basics, but it's not that hard. Exercise, improving muscle mass, bone density, right? Like these things have a massive impact. So when I talk about someone's financial plan, it's important they understand, hey, you want to impact those last 4 years? What if you just make it 2 years? You've just saved $2 million potentially.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm talking to Jay Johnson. I'm talking to Jay Johnson, who's at Abacus Global Management, is an expert on this. I find it fascinating. We've only got about 20 seconds left, Jay. How do people find out more about Abacus?
Sure. They can go to abacusgm.com. We're an alternative asset manager. We're a financial planning group. We work specifically with people, helping them better understand the value, net market value of their life insurance policies every day. And the point is, people just need to be aware of what they have.
Well, you help people make more money, and that's what this show is all about. Jay, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.